a true story of how a 12-year-old kid from Texas turned matchboxes into $60,000. Let me tell you an incredible story.
Matthew is 12 years old. He lived in Texas, no rich parents, no business mentors, no capital. And yet, before he was legally allowed to work, he quietly built a home-based operation that generated over $60,000 in net profit using one of the cheapest, most overlooked objects in retail history. No social media strategy, no ads, no trends, just basic economics, human psychology, and a system hidden in plain sight. This is not a story about luck. It's a story about how value is created long before money appears. Matthew grew up in a working class Texas neighborhood where money wasn't scarce, but it was always calculated. His parents didn't teach business, but they taught limits. Bills came first. Purchases were justified. Waste was noticed. That environment quietly trained his mind. At 12 years old, his starting position was absolute zero, no savings, no tools, no network. But he had time and a habit most adults never develop: observation. A small convenience store near his home became his first market laboratory. He noticed repetition, same customers, same product, matches, 30 to 40 boxes sold daily, no brand loyalty, no price comparison. People grabbed them automatically. That told him something important. When a product is bought without thought, it lives in habit, not logic, and habit is where pricing flexibility exists. He wasn't thinking about money yet, he was thinking about leverage. If the object itself had no emotional value, then emotional value could be added externally. Same product, different mental category. That insight became the foundation of everything that followed. Matthew ran the simplest possible experiment. Minimal risk, minimal cost. He bought standard matchboxes and modified them slightly. Hand-drawn covers, short phrases, themed visuals, functionally identical, psychologically different. He priced them at $5 per box, not based on cost, but intent. High enough to feel purposeful, low enough to feel accessible. They sold out in one day, about $250 in revenue. The critical signal wasn't income, it was friction. Buyers didn't hesitate. They weren't buying matches, they were buying novelty, symbolism, and scarcity. He introduced theme sets of 10 to 15 boxes. This increased average order value to $20 to $25 while keeping production predictable. When he calculated his time, his effective hourly return exceeded anything legally available to someone his age. More importantly, the model scaled by idea, not effort. The constraint wasn't materials, it was perception. As demand grew, Matthew made a decision most beginners get wrong. He limited supply. He introduced numbered editions, small production runs, and pre-orders. Economically, this did three things: eliminated inventory risk, stabilized cash flow, and increased perceived value. Scarcity wasn't artificial, it was operational. Average order value climbed to $40 to $50. Monthly sales stabilized at around 80 to 100 sets. Revenue crossed several $1,000s per month. Then a local Texas newspaper wrote about him. Demand shifted again. Buyers were no longer individuals. They were gift shops, collectors, and resellers. Without realizing it, Matthew transitioned into B2B. He produced batches of 300 to 500 units, fully pre-sold, zero inventory risk, predictable cycles. The business stopped being fragile. By year 2, Matthew tracked basic financial metrics: input costs, margins, reinvestment limits. He separated personal money from business capital, a discipline many adults never learn. Revenue grew steadily, not explosively. Thousands of units sold annually. Average order values reached $60 to $80. Margins were strong, but intentionally not maximized. He understood the trade-off between speed and identity. Instead of simplifying and scaling aggressively, he preserved consistency. Demand stayed clean. Trust stayed high. The business didn't depend on platforms, algorithms, or trends. It depended on structure. As cumulative profit approached $40,000, Matthew faced a hidden risk: complexity. More orders meant more coordination, more errors, more time pressure. Instead of scaling production, he scaled systems. He standardized designs, batch workflows, and delivery timelines. He capped monthly volume deliberately. This kept quality high and refunds near zero. Customer retention exceeded 60%. Repeat buyers accounted for nearly half of revenue. By the time cumulative net profit crossed $60,000, the operation was predictable, calm, and resilient. Money stopped being the goal. It became feedback. The Matchbox business was never the destination. It was proof. Matthew learned that businesses don't start with the invention, they start with irritation, with noticing inefficiencies others ignore. He didn't invent a product, he reframed meaning and built a system around it. Money can disappear, systems compound. Once you understand how value forms in the mind before it appears in the market, opportunities stop feeling rare. Most markets don't lack products, they lack perspective. And sometimes all it takes is looking at an ordinary box of matches from a different angle. After the Matchbox business stabilized, Matthew didn't rush into the next idea. That pause mattered. Most people after their first success chase momentum. He did the opposite. He slowed down and asked a harder question, not how it worked, but why it stayed stable. He broke everything down into mechanics, price and scarcity, timing, cash flow, risk. What stood out wasn't the profit margin. It was the absence of chaos. No spikes, no crashes, no dependency on luck. Demand behaved predictably because the system constrained it. Production was capped. Pricing was intentional. Growth was controlled. The structure absorbed uncertainty. By 14, Matthew wasn't running a business anymore. He was running small experiments, low cost, low risk tests using the same framework. Some worked, some didn't. None collapsed. The system filtered failure before it became expensive. That discipline attracted attention. Quietly, locally, adults didn't ask about the product, they asked how he thought. See, he began explaining his logic to small shop owners and hobby sellers, not as advice, but as observation. The same problems appeared everywhere: overproduction, underpricing, emotional decisions. Small structural changes created disproportionate results. One shop increased monthly profit from $3,200 to $5,100 without selling more. Another cut inventory costs by 40% just by switching to pre-orders. Matthew didn't monetize this, he documented it. Principles, cause and effect. By 15, his cumulative earnings exceeded $72,000. But the money wasn't the point anymore. He had something more durable, a way of thinking that produced calm outcomes. And that's why this story matters. Not because of the number. $60,000 doesn't change a life in America. But learning how to remove randomness early changes everything that comes after. Matthew didn't learn hustle. He learned structure. He learned that markets reward clarity, not effort. That growth without control destroys value faster than failure. That products are temporary, but systems compound. The Matchboxes were never the business. Texas was never the advantage. Age was never the limitation. What mattered was the moment he stopped reacting to the world and started organizing it. Most people wait for permission. Most people wait for capital. Most people wait for certainty. Matthew didn't wait. He noticed how the system worked and then built one that worked better. That's not luck. That's inevitability.